Hello everyone, we are at Bullseye Golf Course in the banquet room at the Lantern. And I have Kendra, Alicia, and Jordan here with me. And we're gonna go through a nice and easy flow, probably a lot more seat-based from tabletop. We might get up and do a little bit of balancing, but just follow along with what you can. So go ahead and get yourself started in whatever position is going to be the most comfortable for you. Pick a spot that is going to be easy for you to shut down your eyes. A spot where you can relax and let the weight of your legs sink down. Take a few more moments to settle in. Now take a second and ball your hands into fists. Squeeze it up to your shoulders, your eyelids, as much of your body as you can tighten. Take in a big breath. And soften as you exhale. You can do that a couple of times, engaging deeper parts of your body and trying to soften further into your core. And let your breath return to a natural rhythm. Follow it in and out, and just note where it sits at your chest or your belly. As you start to settle into your breath, notice if there's any other parts of your body that are still tight, holding onto that tension. Can you find a way to soften and relax? Take a moment to set an intention for yourself to ground in, to settle and to focus. Draw your breath in through your nose, deep to your belly. Hold on to it for a second. And now press it all the way out. Again, deep breath down into your belly. Hold it. And release. One more time. Now give yourself a little bit of time just to stretch, move your shoulders, your legs. We're going to work our way into a seated position. If you've already been seated, you can just reposition your legs or lift yourself up onto a block. Come into a seated mountain, reach up tall, big breath in. Now fold out, but instead of touching the ground, just hold your chest there. How far can you reach and still ground down through your hips? Seated mountain, come back up, reach tall. Again, fold out, hover, and hold. One more time to mountain, reach up tall. Fold and reach. This time, let your hands come to the ground. See if you can inch out just a tiny bit further. Allow your head to hang heavy. Ground into your hips. You can rock side to side and get some stretch up in through your ribs and your hips. Seated mountain. Work your way back up, reach nice and tall. And then we're going to twist down over to the right with your right hand to the ground behind you. You can use your left hand to push into your leg and get a little bit more leverage out of your twist. Lift from your head and your heart, taking a big breath. Twist just a tiny bit further as you exhale out. Do that a couple more times. Connect to your breath in your twist. Mountain. Untwist, reach up tall, twist down to the other side. Use your hands, lift from your heart, and ground down into your hips and your legs. Mountain, come back up tall to the center, back bend. Pull your arms into a cactus position where you're trying to squeeze your shoulder blades in, your elbows back. Spread your fingers wide and lift your heart up higher towards the ceiling. Mountain, come up tall. Into that fold again. Walk your hands out. This time walk as far over to the right as you can. Ground down, push in through the left side of your hip and your leg. Create space and depth between your left ribs. Engage your core and walk over to the other side. Check in with your hips. Are you still connected? Can you push firmer into the right side to get a little more depth? Bring yourself back to the center and then all the way up. Reverse tabletop. Bring your feet to the mat. You can keep your hips on the ground if that feels weird on your elbows. Otherwise, lift up, stretch out the front side of your body. Take a couple of breaths across your shoulder blades, all the way down your sternum to your belly button. Lift up a little bit higher. Control your way back down to the ground. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh. Now you're going to let your legs drop off to the left as you look over to the right. Take 2 or 3 big breaths here. Keep your chest up and long through your neck. Engage your core, come back to the center, keep your legs crossed and just see what it feels like to do a reverse tabletop from here. Keep your hips up, uncross your leg and point your toes to the ceiling. Lift a little bit higher, And then lower all the way down. Keep your leg long and set it on the mat. We're gonna twist into that other leg. So hug it into your chest, put your left hand down to the ground behind you. If you feel like you're just not quite getting enough twist, you could also try taking your foot across your leg. And then just to see where our balance is at today, reach down for your left foot with your right hand. Lift your foot out in front of you. Reach your left hand back and see if you can start to balance and lift your opposite leg off of the mat. Tip back and forth, whatever you've got going on. 3 more seconds. Now find some control as you set everything back down. We're going to go to a seated tree. So your left leg, you can bend and drop it down to the side. And now fold towards your long leg. Take a few deep breaths here. Think about trying to lay your ribs and your belly out over your leg. Engage your core, pull yourself back up tall. We're going to start that sequence on the other side. Bring your left ankle over your right knee, drop your legs over to the right, and look over your left shoulder. Bring your legs back to the center. Try that reverse tabletop, single leg here. Press your hips up. Lift your left foot up to the ceiling. Press up even higher, and then nice and slow, lower your way down. Take your left leg to the mat, and we're going to twist into our right bent knee. Push down into your back hand, lift your chest up. Slowly unwind, seated tree. Let your leg drop down, fold out towards your front foot. Take about 3 or 4 deep breaths. Bring yourself back up. Reverse plank, extend both legs out long. Push into your hands and your choice if those hips come up or not. Lift up a little higher from your heart and lower back down. Let's meet in a regular tabletop on your hands and knees. Take your time. Once you get there, stretch out your hands. You can tuck your toes underneath and stretch the bottoms of your feet. Also play with crunching your ribs into each other or stretching your belly in that cow and cat position. And then settle your way into a still and sturdy tabletop. Spread your fingers out, put a little bit of grip into your fingertips. Push the ground down and away. And as you push firmer, can you create more space between your shoulder blades? Now engage your core and see what happens when you lift your right leg up in the air behind you. Extend further back through your heel. Now bring your knee in and tap your right elbow. Extend back, press from your heel, crunch and tap. 2 more. Let's meet back in the extension with your heel all the way to the wall. Now what happens when you take your left hand off the mat? Reach out in front of you. Hold here, 3, 2, 1. Extend out further. Now bring your knee and elbow to tap. Extend. And tap. 2 more. The last one, stretch out nice and far. Bring that crunch in. Hold here, 3, 2, squeeze higher to your belly. And release. Sink down to child's pose for a second. Relax your wrists, your hips. Take some notes and just kind of check in what kind of changes do you want to make as we move into the second side. When you're ready, meet back in that sturdy tabletop position. Pull your belly in, squeeze from your ribs, and lift your left leg back. Hold here for a little bit first. Extend back further. Now tap your left elbow. Drive back. Crunch. 2 more. Last crunch. And then extend back. Hold here. Get your balance so you can lift your opposite hand out. Extend out further. Bring your elbow and knee together. 3 more. Last time, extend out, and then we're going to hold that crunch for 3, 2, 1. Release. Again, sink back to child's pose. You can keep your hands up or under your head, even down by your sides if it bothers your shoulder. Now let's come flat onto our bellies. Take a second to rest your head to the side or on your forehead. Shift your hips, move your heels. And we're going to go into a Sphinx pose. So you want to bring your elbows in underneath your shoulders. Press down into your palms and your forearms. Lift your heart. Now squeeze your shoulder blades down your spine. What happened to your breath? Can you breathe all the way down into the mat? Take about 3 more breaths here, all through the front side of your body. Control and lower yourself back down to the mat. Take whatever time you need to loosen your hips and your back. And once you're ready, we're going to meet in a downward dog. Push up with your hips, pedal out your knees, shake your head. Just like we did on that tabletop, take your time to kind of feel what's going on in your body. Ground in through your hands. Lift your right heel towards the ceiling. You can bend at your knee, open your hip, draw some circles with your foot and toes. And then when you set your foot down, set it on the opposite side of your heel, or your pinky side of your left foot, just to get a little different stretch into your hamstrings and your hips. And then go ahead, switch your feet around, lift your left leg up, take some time to bend, roll. And now set down on the pinky side of your right foot. Hold here for a little bit. Set your feet next to each other and walk your hands back to your feet. Hang out in a fold at the back of your mat. You can let your knees bend, sway your hips and your head. Bend into your knees so you can rest your belly on your thighs and hug the backs of your legs. Play around here and just see how close you can keep yourself as you start to straighten one or both of your legs. Release your hands down. Walk your feet out wider to the edges of your mat. We're going to go into a twist with your right hand either staying on the ground, a block, or even bringing your elbow to your thigh, and then twist and reach your left hand up to the ceiling. You can play here with trying to reach further back or up over your head. See how it feels in your shoulder. Reach up a little bit higher, and now control your hand down and twist in the opposite direction. Again, play on this side, see how it feels in your shoulder and your neck. Control your hand back down to the center. Walk your feet in towards you and stand into mountain. Reach up high, come into a back bend with your cactus arms. Mountain, stand up tall, and bring your hands down to your heart. Go ahead and play here on your balance, just shifting to your toes and back to your heels a couple of times. If it feels really easy, try it with your eyes shut. And then start to shift from right to left so you can peel your feet off the ground a little bit. Now, whichever foot you are feeling the sturdiest on, plant it down into the ground. And we're going to go into tree with the opposite foot. So we'll start by bringing your knee up and out. You can step somewhere inside of your lifted or your standing leg. Your toes could even stay on the ground if that helps you feel more secure. Now check in with your bent knee. Can you open any further to get more stretch across your hips? Try moving your hands to a different position. Take about 5 more breaths. Check in with your alignment. Do you feel like you're stacked up over your ankle, your knee, your hips, your shoulders? Take in one more big breath. Stay as you exhale. And then slowly let everything come out. Shift your weight. And let's plant into the other side. Take tree. Your foot doesn't have to go in the exact same spot that you had it on the other side. Same with your hands, can go to a different spot. Check in though. Where's your alignment? Where are you focused? You can take about 5 more breaths wherever you are. One more big inhale. Stay as you exhale and release. Again, shake it out. We're going to drop down to a yogi squat. So you want to have some room between your heels for your hips to drop. And then once you get there, move around a little bit, hands either on your legs or the ground. You could also play around here with trying to extend a leg out to the side, pointing, flexing. From here, we're going to add in a twist. Ground down through your right hand or your arm and twist up or back with your left hand. Take a big breath in. Reach back a little further as you exhale. Do that a couple more times. Release your hand down to the center, twist over to the other side. Connect to your breath. Release back down to the center and come into tabletop again. Cow pose, drop your belly down, lift up with your chin and your head. Cat, move to the opposite direction, tucking into your chin, looking for your belly button. And now just move back and forth between those two. You're going to also add in a C crunch where you look over your shoulder and try and tap your hip and your shoulder together. Come still and sturdy. Lift your right leg up behind you. And now we're going to cross it over to the left, as far over as you can reach. Now look back for your foot. Stretch and push your ribs apart on the right side. Come back to the center, lift your leg up. We're going to come to a lunge next. Bring your leg outside of your hand, step into your foot, and then play around so that you can settle in and get as much distance between your front heel and your back knee. Yeah, you can drop down to your elbows, or you could also bring something in if that wants to make it a little easier for you. But find a spot where you can take some controlled, grounded breaths. Let's add in a twist here. Take your right hand back behind you. If you want to see where your flexibility is at today, you could also try lifting up that back foot, reaching for your toes, your ankle, whatever is there. You can also play with balance then by trying to take your front hand off the mat. Take about 3 more breaths. Control as you let everything go. Bring your hand forward. We're going to go to a half split next. Straighten out your front leg. You have options to stay up high with your hips, or you could try and sit down on your back heel or even onto the ground. Just see how it feels in your hamstring, your hips. You can also see if you have any fold while you're trying to press forward into your long leg. Take about 2 or 3 more breaths. If you wanted to play with that full split, this would be a good chance to try, just extending that back leg further behind you. If you have one of your props, you could also bring like a pillow or a blanket in underneath your front thigh and try pushing in from there. Then from here, we're gonna move into half pigeon. So you wanna put some weight into that front leg again so you can bring your knee forward. Extend your back leg long behind you. Here too, a blanket, block, whatever you've got, you could put it underneath your front hip, and that will help to keep you grounded if you're not quite touching. And sometimes a block or a pillow is nice to put underneath your belly, underneath your chest, kind of giving that same effect like a weighted blanket. Take another 2 or 3 breaths here. And then let's try a bind in this pose. So you're gonna look back towards your long leg. Try to bend and reach for your foot. If it's not quite there and you have a strap at home, feel free to use that. Once you've got a grip though, turn your chest forward, get that nice stretch and opening across your shoulder. Again, you can play with your balance by taking your other hand forward, even trying to take it back and reach for both hands. Control as you let everything down and back towards the ground. Work your way back into tabletop. If you want a cow, cat, C curve, or child's pose. We'll come back strong into tabletop. Draw your core in, lift your left leg up and behind. Now set it off to the right. Push into your foot and into your hands. Create space at your ribs and hip. Come back to the center. And all the way to that lunge, squeeze your leg forward, set into your foot, and work your back knee further to the mat. Again, here's where you can use your block to stay up high, or you could try working down onto your elbows. Get yourself ready to twist. Ground into your right hand, reach your left hand up or back. This is where we had tried that bind, lifting up your back toes, trying to grab on. Take about 3 more breaths. Release everything back with your hands forward and move into your half split. Give yourself time to settle in. Take some notes of what feels different from this side to the other. Take 1 or 2 more breaths. And then we're going to move into our half pigeon. Bringing your knee forward. Work your back leg long with the mat. Settle into a spot where 4 to 5 breaths feels easy. If you wanted to try the bind on this side, give yourself time to do that as you reach back and grab for your foot. Take about 3 more breaths. And then go ahead and work your way out. Do whatever you need to for a little bit, but then you can lay onto your back. And I'm just gonna have the 3 of you lay on your back, but I'm gonna stay seated. So whenever you're ready. Take some time, position your hips, adjust your shoulders. We'll take time for a back bend here if you want to lift into a bridge. You could also use a block and put yourself in supported bridge. Or if you're feeling open enough for it, you could go into a wheel pose with your hands and feet on the ground. But find that back bend, take 3 to 5 breaths. Control as you work your way back down. And then take something comfortable, either legs stretched out or a reclined butterfly with the soles of your feet together. Take a moment to fidget and get comfortable. Then shut down your eyes. Take a moment to acknowledge the noises and the distractions that are around you. Now shift your focus, dial in. Where do you feel the most grounded right now? What is holding you back from loosening up? Giving yourself that permission to relax. As we work our way through the winter, we're about halfway between winter and spring. This is our final invitation to rest and warm up from the winter. It's a chance to ground in. Start to take some deeper breaths. Create warmth and energy with that breath. Spread it all the way down your legs to your toes. out from your heart, down your arms, into your fingertips. Give yourself a moment to stretch, twist, anything else you might need before working your way back to a seated position. As you work into that seat, again, come back to our intention of grounding down, dialing in, and being focused. Lift your heart, take in a big breath. Open your mouth and let it out. We're going to finish with 3 breaths together. Bring your hands together to your heart, bow to yourself. Set your mood for the rest of the day or even the rest of the winter. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.